This is Mac OS Ken.
Morgan Stanley talks AI and iPhone. Twitter CEO says advertisers will be back, and stops on the way for an electric truck. It is Tuesday, the 21st of November, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Morgan Stanley held an Asia-Pacific summit, it seems, and Morgan Stanley analyst Eric Woodring has written up some thoughts tied to Apple. Apple 3.0 has outlined a couple of notes he wrote, one on Apple and artificial intelligence, and another on iPhone and China. Starting with the Cupertino Company and artificial intelligence, the analyst says Apple is working on AI, though it's not spending on it, at least not in an appreciable way. Quoting the note, Apple is clearly investing in generative AI-related headcount, where natural language processing, or NLP, and deep learning skill sets make up 20 to 40% of Apple's AI job postings today. But with CapEx still just 3% of revenue versus 6% at the peak year in fiscal year 16, we haven't seen an obvious uptick in CapEx related to AI. That said, he says Asia-based investors expect Apple spending on AI infrastructure to ramp up next year. They also think a serious move into AI by Apple will jumpstart greater iPhone sales. According to Woodring, Asia-based investors are bullish on the impact that a proliferation of AI across Apple's software stack, including Siri, could have on reducing iPhone replacement cycles, and argue that consumers will need iPhones with more memory and better batteries to process AI inferencing at the edge, spurring an iPhone upgrade cycle. Woodring and friends expect to hear something more concrete about Apple and AI at WWDC next year. As for the note on iPhone and China, the analyst says Asia-based investors are less bearish on Apple than in the US or Europe, though he'd apparently not call them bullish. He says the way they see it, not only is the decline in iPhone sales in China already well understood, iPhone sales in China have actually been improving. The note indicates that iPhone was the top-selling smartphone brand in China for the Singles' Day shopping holiday earlier this month. Besides, as big as China is, it is not the whole planet. According to Woodring, investors cited iPhone strength in the rest of the world for offsetting China, such that iPhone builds are stable, with average selling prices moving higher. He says he and his heard similar talk from the camera module maker LG Innotek, that rest of world iPhone 15 strength is offsetting relative China weakness, keeping iPhone builds stable. Also, he and his tried out the Huawei Mate 60 in person and saw a few issues. While TikTok ran well and the camera was cool, he says gaming capabilities are limited by poor refresh rates and other factors around internal silicon. While Asia-based investors do see Huawei taking share from iPhone in 2024, they're said to be more skeptical about Huawei's long-term share gains, given technology restrictions, and no real path to 3nm or 4nm processors. Mr. Woodring has an overweight rating on Apple's shares. His price target on the shares is $210. Twitter CEO Linda Yaccarino says Apple and other advertisers will be back. It's tough to know, though, whether she knows that or is trying to keep a stiff upper lip. I told you Monday of a number of big-time brands pulling ad dollars out of the microblogging site. That followed a couple of events. One was a report from Media Matters that showed ads for the likes of Apple and IBM run next to posts supporting white nationalism and Nazism. The other was a post from Twitter owner Elon Musk, saying that a guy who had posted a couple of anti-Semitic sentiments and accusations had said the actual truth. Yaccarino addressed one of those two, and you'll never guess which one. The Hollywood Reporter had Yaccarino sending an email to employees Sunday night, quoting one paragraph of that. While some advertisers may have temporarily paused investments because of a misleading and manipulated article, the data will tell the real story. Because for all of us who work at Twitter, we've been extremely clear about our efforts to combat anti-Semitism and discrimination, as there's no place for it anywhere in the world. It's a laudable sentiment that there's no place for anti-Semitism anywhere in the world. There is one not-so-tiny problem, though. As a piece from 9 to 5 Mac points out, Yacarino's memo does not acknowledge the post from the owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, that prompted a response from the White House for promoting anti-Semitic and racist hate. The tweet is coming from inside the house. Apple may have one more ... update in store before iOS 17.2. MacRumors ran a piece Monday saying that its analytics logs appear to show Apple testing an iOS 17.1.2 update. While the site expects the update to center on bug fixes, it does not expect to see those fixed this week. Most of Apple corporate is off for the Thanksgiving holiday, according to MacRumors. The way they see it, iOS 17.1.2 is likely to be released next week, similar to how iOS 16.1.2 was released the week after Thanksgiving in 2022. Folks driving the Ford F-150 Lightning can find a charging station more easily. Well, anyway, iPhone owners can. iDownload says the car maker has added Apple Maps EV routing to CarPlay for the EV pickup. Not unlike BMW's Mini just getting car key support in Apple Wallet, it's kind of weird that this is taking as long as it has. iDownload points out that Ford was the first automaker to offer EV routing on CarPlay, launching initially for Mustang Mach-E. With EV routing, the piece explains, drivers enter their trip details and Maps calculates the estimated state of charge from point A to point B, routing to a charging station along the way if needed. This reduces range anxiety and boosts the in-car experience. If you've never done a road trip in an electric vehicle, by the way, range anxiety is real. I took a 1.5-hour trip in a friend's Tesla one time. It took us between 2.5 and 3 hours to get where we were going, not because we needed to stop for a charge, but because my friend was worried that we would need to stop for a charge, so we had to stop for a charge. Feels like a lot to pay to be afraid to go too far, but yeah, that's just me. And finally today, word of a trailer for an upcoming Docuseries on Apple TV+. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release late last week teasing The Dynasty, New England Patriots. The release says the 10-part series from Brian Grazer and Ron Howard's Imagine documentaries showcases the rise of the most dominant sports dynasty of the 21st century, the New England Patriots. It'll include interviews with former quarterback Tom Brady, coach Bill Belichick, and team owner Robert Kraft, as well as other players, coaches, and execs from the team, and confessionals from league officials and some of the Patriots' arch rivals. The series will not hit Apple TV Plus until February of next year. You can, however, catch the trailer on YouTube. macOS Can, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOScan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.